Hi, this is Tara McGillicuddy, and this is an episode of ADHD Support Talk Radio, which originally aired in November of 2012, and it's called Negativity, Overwhelm and ADHD, with my guest, Linda Hillger. And this is one of the most listened to episodes of ADHD Support Talk Radio, so I thought I would upload it to my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel right here on YouTube, and you can subscribe to ADHD Support Talk Radio by going to the website www.adhdsupporttalk.com. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. Oh, welcome to ADHD Support Talk Radio. This is your host, Tara McGillicuddy. I am an ADHD coach, and I am also the founder and director of ADDclasses.com. And at ADDclasses.com, we provide virtual support and education to people affected by ADD and ADHD. We offer free teleseminars. We have an extensive ADD audio library with more than 100 courses in it, and we also offer more advanced programs. And you can learn more about ADDclasses.com by going to the website www.ADDclasses.com. And I took a little bit of time off again from ADHD Support Talk Radio. I was busy doing the online ADHD Awareness Expo that was really successful. If you happen to miss it during ADHD Awareness Week, it's still up. You can still register and watch all the great videos. We had over 20 videos from leading ADHD experts, so it's great. You can learn more about that at ADHDexpo.com. And I'm so happy to be back on ADHD Support Talk Radio, and I have a special guest with me this week. I'd like to welcome back Linda Hillger. Welcome back, Linda.
Oh, Tara, it is fabulous to be here, and wow, I was blown away by the activity and the feedback that people had on your expo, so I just wanted to start out by saying that if for anyone that hasn't hit that site yet and just taken a look at it, it's well worth your time. I was really impressed. So yes. Well done, Tara. Great free information and great resources.
Yeah, and you were one of our special guests, and you talked about the Command Control Center, which people love. So your video is still up for people to watch at ADHDexpo.com. And Linda, you were actually one of our original co-hosts of ADHD Support Talk Radio. Back then it was called ADHD Coach Talk. And I know you and I talked recently about having you back on a regular basis. We don't have the exact details on how often you're going to be on the show, but you're going to be a regular co-host or special guest again. So I'm excited about that, Linda.
Thank you. I feel like I'm honored, and I feel like I got a promotion. I'm really excited because I love the fact that you get this information out. And so many people, as a matter of fact, I'll bring up for a moment, so many people get back to you and email you and tell you that the radio interviews that you do with all of your specialists really help them to get motivated and answer questions that they don't have anyone to go to. So I have to say I'm really honored that you're inviting me to do that, and I hope that I bring good information to your listeners. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you're one of our favorite guests. I do get some great feedback when you're on, and it's funny. I was overwhelmed, recently with the expo and took some time off from the radio show, and I was thinking, and it's overwhelming to schedule guests and that administrative part, which is really not one of my strengths. And I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't should I do the radio show anymore? I'm questioning it, putting it out there. And it's funny, within like a couple hours of putting that out there, I got an email from somebody just telling me how helpful the radio show is to him. He found it on iTunes when he was searching for, he said he started searching for music to help him, organize and get things done and be productive. And he found ADHD Support Talk Radio and listens to it and helps him get things done. And I'm like, okay, that's a sign right there. I need to keep doing it because it does help people. There's some people that don't like it. It's not their thing. But those who it does help, it really helps because I have great guests. So I'm really glad that you've agreed to help me do it because it is really kind of, like I said, not my strength to sit down and send people emails or have my assistant send them emails and do that administrative stuff. But I love the show and I love having people on it. So thanks, Linda. And thank you, everyone, for your feedback, the positive feedback that you send me. And I don't like the negative. I don't like the negative feedback, but I guess I do appreciate it. So if you're listening to the show and you find it helpful, let me know. If you're on iTunes, definitely let the iTunes listeners or people in there know it's been helpful to you. So yeah, and you and I were talking recently. I wanted to come back on the show and what should we talk about? And we were talking about a topic, and I said, okay, this would be great for the radio show. Right now, just because of the time we're in and just because of what's happening in the world, there's a lot of negativity. And not only is there a lot of negativity, when you have ADD, the negativity is so overwhelming. So you and I thought this would be a really timely topic and helpful topic to talk about negativity and overwhelm, especially when you have ADHD. So thanks for agreeing to come on and talk about this with me, Linda.
Oh, I think it's such a great topic, and you're really going with the fact that you were considering I think I'll take a break from the radio programs, and then you immediately got feedback from a listener. They took the 30 seconds it took to give you active feedback, or when people give you topics that they wish you'd cover. Yeah, I just love that, and the fact that you brought this up, the getting rid of negative energy, and really the techniques and ideas behind how it affects ADD. Mm-hmm. I think that really justifies such a great topic, and I agree with you, because so often we're busy and that information just flows through our head, and then we end up, how some of us, I know I can catch myself doing this a lot, and I'm just wondering if you ever find yourself replaying it in your head as you go about your day. You're replaying the news you just heard on the TV, or watching CNN, or any kind of radio program in the background. Sort of just infiltrates our brain without being conscious that negative energy just kind of drags us down.
Oh yeah, and especially now, with the presidential election, other elections coming up, and the hurricane that, took place, in the devastation in New York and New Jersey, that negativity, and I'm aware of it now, and I'm noticing, I'm becoming more aware, and I'm looking for it. But when I wasn't looking for it, I don't think I had any idea how much it affected me negatively and what it did to my mind, and it's really hard to get out of it. And not only that, a lot of this negativity is very stimulating for the brain. It's a way. It's almost like self-medication, and it's like watching a train wreck. We joke about it's like watching a train wreck when you watch the really bad TV like the Jersey Shore or CNN with the news. I was watching it the other night, and they were interviewing somebody about the hurricane who didn't let somebody into the house, and I'm just getting angry because they're attacking this guy. And I'm like, okay, if I was by myself in the middle of a hurricane, I'd be protecting my own life and probably wouldn't let somebody in at the door. But I'm just like, wait a minute, I don't need this negativity. I need to shut this off. I need to focus on, the hurricane is awful. It's devastating. People are going through stuff. But sitting, watching hours or even minutes of CNN or Weather Channel or whatever else it is not serving me. And it's not serving the people who are affected by the hurricane. Maybe put some positive energy out there, or, maybe I could make a Red Cross donation or do something like that, get the word out on social media. I don't need to surround myself by this negativity because it's not helping me, and it's not helping other people either.
Yes, and have you ever noticed, I've noticed when people, and recently with the election being so negative, they're tearing each other apart, It makes it actually, when I say, okay, it's time for me to take a moment and just look at this, the politics or the event or the hurricane, let me just take a moment and take in the facts so I know what's going on, but then close it out. And what I find is then people will bring it up again through my day, and I really want to say, stop. I gave that my, whatever I had, 15 minutes. I understood it as best I had time for, and I really, as a person with ADD, I always want to go back to my own life and sort of just close out the rest of the world and make sure that my life is under my control and it's going well, and then bring that energy up to, like you said, have a positive effect, or at least limit the amount of conversation and stuff that I give it through the day. So, yes, and by the way, can I just bring you to a comment you made on this topic when you brought it up that I thought was so, I don't know, it was so refreshing that I just can't help but bring it up. And that is, you were saying that the negative flow of the energy was really just making you feel like, ugh. Mm-hmm. But then, when you actually think about the amount of people that are reaching out in their communities, neighbors helping neighbors, there must be such a, in the midst of turmoil, people reach out, particularly ADD people, really do often put action out to help others and make that better. So although it does seem like a lot of negative things happening, between that, I think it's getting people to talk with one another and help each other.
Well, I think that's it. There is a lot of negativity out there, whether it's the election or the, Frankenstorm, the hurricane, the storm of the century, or just in your own life. Things happen. The economy's tough. Just life happens, and it's not to say you need to sit back and just pretend the sky is purple or look at the world through rose-colored glasses. That doesn't work either. But I think what you were saying, okay, look at the facts, acknowledge something's going on, but also get back to your own life, your inner self, and how can you turn this into a positive, or how can you focus on some positive energy. And I think a lot of times with those of us with ADHD, one of the big things is just being aware of the negative energy, how it affects you, the negative people in your life, and you can't cut everyone out of your life, but you can limit it. And I think you brought something up by saying, okay, sometimes you just need to say stop. And sometimes you need to say stop to yourself, okay, I'm going to remove myself from this situation, or to the people in your life, just say, stop, I'm not putting up with this anymore. And, you might not want to say it as bluntly as that, but, yeah, it's important to surround yourself with positive energy and limit the negativity in your life.
Yes, and that moment of just assessing, is it 50-50? At least 50-50. Are you more of the things that your mind is engaged in, more about empowerment and self-control and knowing what you're doing and having control of your projects or your home or whatever it is that you're working on with ADD? And then, as opposed to the negative flow of people or interpersonal issues or even the environmental stuff that's happening nowadays, it's really, I think you're bringing up such a powerful thing just for a moment of awareness to stop and assess that. And assess it with an eye on overwhelm and stimulation, like you were saying. What do you find that is when it clicked with you and you brought this up, was there a point where you actually just assessed that?
I'm not sure what the point was, but I'm noticing it more. For years, I've been involved with ADHD-related organizations, and I got to tell you, I get frustrated, I get angry. I've put a lot of negativity out there associated with my involvement in these organizations when people didn't listen to me. And very recently, I had someone who contacted me from one of these organizations, and I'm like, you know what? I don't need to tell this person off. I'm just choosing not to respond to these emails right away. To put my energy into helping people with ADHD, my own projects and programs, and surrounding myself with the people who I enjoy working with, because it's not getting me anywhere, and it can kind of make me sick and make me down. And I want to help people. I want to be around the people who I connect well with, and I have positive, because I can be just as negative as everyone else here. I'm not saying I'm this positivity. Yes. I can be down, and it's not helpful to me if I'm involved in a group and I'm just saying, okay, this sucks. I don't want to do this. This is stupid. I need to focus on putting my own positive energy out there, and it's not it's not something that happens overnight. It takes practice, and I think noticing being aware, paying attention is a great start that this energy, the negativity, doesn't have a positive impact on you. And then from there, maybe you can begin to take small steps to, make changes.
Yes, fabulous. And those small steps, like the other day I was in the hospital for an event that ended up not being as serious as I thought. And the person, as I was leaving, the person said, okay, so you're fine, but you didn't think you were going to be. Go home and rethink where your energy goes. Rethink, refresh. And so I did that, and, it was a real wake-up call, and it made me realize that it's really healthy, particularly if you're rushing or you're feeling overwhelmed or you're getting bombarded by negative stuff, as I have felt recently, and that's why I'm so glad to be on this call. When I came home, I kind of literally said, I'm pushing the stop button. I'm going to stop, and for today, I'm going to really assess how much energy I'm putting out in my home, how much energy I'm putting out for different things, and hit the refresh button. And, I bought some candles that were just very relaxing for my environment, and it's a trigger for my head to say, all right, it's time to calm down in the evening. I'm done. Many of us with overwhelm, or if you're being bombarded by negative energy, you might find you can't sleep.
Yep.
You're not getting rest, or maybe your kids are in school and you're doing a lot of running around to accommodate them, or at work, many people are dealing with layoffs and stress at work. So if anyone's out there and you're feeling, as you hear this, you're saying, yeah, maybe I should actually take a break and evaluate and hit the refresh button, and maybe get away from some of that negative energy and turn your energy around, or those people that are saying negative things. If the universe is a funny place. It brings you information when it's important for you to hear it. So if you're hearing it, and Tara, you did it for me. The other day when you brought this up, you did that. You were that boost to say, refresh. Yeah. So here you go. You're bringing it out to these listeners. So if you're hearing this, there's a really good chance there's a reason you're hearing it, right?
Yeah, no, and I've been finding that a lot of times too. And and sometimes it's just it as simple as saying, okay, what's going on with the negative stuff, and stopping, turning off the TV, shutting the book, turning off your iPhone or your phone for 30 seconds, and taking a deep breath and just breathing and just putting some positive thought out there, or thinking about somebody or something that's positive. And it sounds so simple. And when people first said this to me, this sounds dumb. This is too, new age, foo-foo, whatever it is. But it's amazing that it really does work. And just to stop and think about something positive, do something positive. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you're going to do something that's going to change the whole world. It can just be thinking of that, place that is peaceful to you for like 30 seconds, or if you're a pet lover, thinking about your pet, just stopping and just focusing on some positive things, a little bit more often than all the negative, because life, it's negative, and my gosh, our own lives can be negative and challenging, and everything else that's out there right now in the media is crazy.
Yes, and isn't it, you actually told me a really great little snippet that I hope you don't mind my bringing up, because I think it's really cool. Okay. During this recent superstorm hurricane combination that the East Coast had, you said you were without electricity, and you were sitting quietly at your home for about 3 hours, and you really chose not to do anything but rest. And listen to some updates as they came through about the weather, but really you didn't want anybody around. You just took that moment of quiet. And as I was hearing you describe 3 hours of quiet just to rest, just hearing that helped my own person to go, that sounds delightful.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing that when you cut off the technology and you close things out on purpose for a small time, what that can do to your energy as a whole, to just feeling yourself and feeling hearing yourself breathe, and not thinking about all of the busyness that we often with ADD have to work with, you know?
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie and say that I was really totally happy I was out without power for 3 hours, and I'm thankful it was only 3 hours because as we talk right now, people are still without power. And I was a little anxious, worrying, okay, how long is my, iPhone going to last? How long, when do I have to go to my second, battery backup? But I did stop and say, okay, let me kind of just enjoy this time by myself. And I think, and like you said, sometimes I was forced to shut off most of my electronics at the time because we lost power. But I think it is, maybe have, realistically, maybe it's not going to happen for a half hour for you every day. Maybe, when you think about it and just have some, regular time where you just shut off all the electronics and just kind of sit there quietly. And even if it's just for 30 seconds to breathe in and out, it can recharge and help you.
Yes. And you know what's interesting about adults, and particularly with ADD, and all of the flow of activity and negative stuff that's coming through? Mm-hmm. It was interesting that as adults we were dealing with the weather. We are hearing about the politics, and it's hard to even know what's positive about the candidates as opposed to the negative stuff we're listening to. And then, so I'll get wrapped up with my ADD head. I'll be wrapped up thinking about all of the adult things that need to be done in business or home. And then my daughter, who is just now 6, in the middle of the hurricane, she wants me to put makeup on her face because she's preparing for Halloween. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, this is so strange. Your little head is still centered on the fun of life. Yes. And sure enough, after the coast was clear on the East Coast, where we near Boston, where we live, it was a couple days later, and I was thinking, I wonder if the adults in this area are even thinking about Halloween because they're just cleaning up their yards. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, she came home and she was like, "Let's get our outfit on. We're going out." And we went door to door, and we only went for a couple blocks because she's so little. But just being in that energy was so refreshing to say, I'm not thinking about adult things right now, and I'm not thinking about projects and work and blah, blah. I'm just enjoying the holiday and getting into sometimes kids can be refreshing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's one thing to really look at is who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with. It's great that you have a child in your life that, brings that refreshment to your life and forced you to focus on something positive, to look at the positive. And some of us, we have those type of people in our life, and it's great to add more of those people in your life, but also look at the other end. Are the people that are in our lives causing us negativity, and can we just change the subject? And it's interesting, I'm on Facebook, and yesterday one of my Facebook friends made a post about the days of gratitude. All of November, she's going to be posting something about something she's grateful for. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it too. And it's amazing because the tone on Facebook, in the past week has been very negative because of the storms. And, I have friends and colleagues and family in New Jersey and New York. And it's funny. I had probably 5 or 6 people that looked at my post and started doing it. So, maybe you're the person of change. That if everyone's, talking negatively about, I don't know, the president or the election or the storm or whatever else it is, maybe just stop and try to redirect the conversation to something positive, something, because it's amazing, how easy it is to just start talking about politics and debate and, whatever else it is. But sometimes when you can redirect the conversation to people, even if it's just for a short time, to just, change, like your daughter did to you, you're still thinking about the storm and cleaning up and all that, but she brought something positive into your life, and I think we need more people that do that, and sometimes we can be those people.
I have to say, you just struck me. Just listening to you just struck me. And I love that you brought that up. And even having this conversation sort of has lightened my own energy. And I think I'm going to take you up on that, that November positive energy idea with one thing a day to put out there, because it's amazing what the ripple effect is. And can you imagine what would happen if your listeners, even a small number of them, took a moment each day of November and did one positive comment?
Yeah,
what the ripple
something that you're grateful for. And like it can be simple, because one of my things on Facebook was, I am grateful for the cup of coffee that I have today. It was something as simple as this. It doesn't have to be, something that you have to think about forever. It can just be simple, like especially with everything that's going on, and I really am thankful that I have the electricity and I have the funds and I have, everything I need to have a cup of coffee, because, there are a lot of people right now that don't have, whether it's coffee or even water. So to just put that positive energy out there, whether it's something you're grateful for or just, change the world and put some positivity out there. I can't even say the word.
Yes, as our community becomes more in control and learns strategies to, and of course we're doing that with our next generation already, and seeing really the skills, the brain power, the amount of creative resource we are as a community of 15 million people, and growing, by the way, growing. When we see that we really are in those numbers and how creative and resourceful we are, that tells us that if we can raise the energy level, even within our own community, the people that we talk with, man, we can reach out a lot. I mean, you have people all over the world that use your sites, and you pour free. There are so many items on your website, on all of your websites, that are free for the world to enjoy and to learn from. And so I'm really personally really glad that this one is going out to your people. I love that.
You. And I think now's the perfect time to do it. And, I'm not saying, when you live with ADHD or whatever else you have with it, that it's all, roses and it's all great. But if you're listening to you and I talking about all the negativity, that's not going to be helpful. People really need, and there's studies that show it changes the brain chemicals when people focus on positive. There is science behind this too, that, changing your mindset can be very helpful.
Yes, and isn't it so true that often it's our perspective. So if it's the way we're looking at the day. And for ADD, hey, that's a really big process. Often when we open up our eyes in the morning, we're instantly bombarded by all the projects and the busyness of the world, and then instantly we get into the overwhelm scenario. So this negative energy can really be the cherry on the sundae, when in fact if you take a moment just opening your eyes in the morning and you just not fall into that as a habit, but just stop and realize all you need to do for that moment is get out of bed and begin a day.
Yes.
Just to begin a day and give yourself a break for a while instead of letting our impulse bring those projects and stresses right in.
Yeah.
That can change really.
Oh, yeah, I mean, starting out your day, waking up, thinking a positive thought, looking at something positive, listening to a happy song, just look at how you're starting out your day. Are you starting it out by, answering emails, people that are annoying you? Are you starting it out by watching the news or listening to the negativity on the news? Just maybe, that's one, change that maybe you could make right now is when you wake up in the morning or whenever you wake up, do something positive. Start out with something positive, because it can really change your whole day and eventually change your whole life.
Yes, that ripple effect really hits home. And, oftentimes our head, as ADD people, we very often find ourselves thinking about things that aren't in our control, the bigger issues. None of us can go down to New York City and single-handedly clean it up.
Yes.
But our head will go to that big place of ideas, and often it's really useful to just name some simple thing that you can do that only takes a few minutes, that is within your control, and doesn't, is within your money, is within your time, is within your environment and your people, and those little starting out that. And I think, wow, that girl that sent you the positive impulse every day, one thing, posted up on the web. Yep. I would really love someday to be able to see the effect of that and the ripple effect.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I bet it's huge. You're doing a radio show because of it, and
yes, I am.
Doing action.
It's time. Yeah, and I think, and everyone else can take a little bit of action, even if it's just to think of something positive or do something positive every day. And you know what, Linda? Speaking of the radio show, we are actually towards the end of the show. You know what I actually forgot to do when I introduced you is to ask you to give out your contact information. So I'd love for you to do that because I know whenever I have people on, people always want to get in contact with the special guests. But also, do you have any final thoughts, any final words of wisdom you'd like to leave people with today?
You're funny because I was just going to ask you exactly something about that because it struck me that, all right, so my email address, if anyone wants to get in touch with me, it's Linda, Linda, at LindaHillger.com, LindaHillger.com. And you can always look up Adult ADD BootCamp.com, and you'll have information there as well to get in touch with me. And I love your emails and ideas for topics. But, Tara, so funny. You're asking me if I had a wrap-up. And what my wrap-up thing is at the beginning of this, you announced something really excellent. I think it's called the Focused ADD Action Club. Did I write that down right?
Well, it's the Focus Action Online Coaching, and it's individual coaching. It's not group coaching. And it actually just starts the beginning of this month. So as we're recording, it's November. And you can find out more about that by going to one of my websites, youraddcoach.com, youraddcoach.com. You can learn more about it there. If it's for you, if this program is not for you, I have links to resources with other coaches and other ADD resources. So yeah, thank you for bringing that because it's funny. I kind of forget to give out my own information on this show too.
Well, I wrote it down, and I know people will ask after the call, and it made me think. You have a focused ADD club going on, or one-on-one stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, how appropriate. We're really talking about being aware of energy, negative or how much, and how it affects ADD with overstimulation and overwhelm. And here you have a focused program that you're announcing. So I don't know if that was a very lucky coincidence for listeners or what, but that was great. So I'm really glad to hear that you have that. And
thank you.
And I love to hear your new programs because they always surprise me, and they're always cutting edge when it comes to the learning of the ADD community. So terrific. Well done. Congratulations.
Yes, and if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can find out more on the ADHD Support Talk Radio Show website at www.adhdsupporttalk.com. There's links to my sites there, and actually you can listen to all the other radio shows. We've had some great shows over the past several years. Yeah, we've been doing this since 2008. Wow. So Linda, I want to thank you so much for coming on and being my guest today. What a great show, and I